Alrighty, well, welcome back. In just a couple of days, YouTube time. Now, no, real time. Um, by the way, this is Tim Time Projects. Don't be dismayed here or lost if you haven't heard me say Tim Time Projects in a while. But that's what this is. Um, if you remember, I was looking for an audio transformer, and that little guy came and is going to take the place of this thing here. This has been taken out. I hope that's not a omen of things to come, but this is a P-T156. I got it from Tubes and More, and it's supposed to be good for a push-pull interstage transformer for tubes, for vacuum tubes, and specifically the 27 vacuum tube. I don't know about the 80s. They're on the output, or not the output, not the 80s. They're 171, 370. So I guess they're a 71 tube on the output. But this will be a learning experience for all of us. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. A couple of things. The wires were just long enough to reach, just long enough. However, the bolt holes don't quite make it, and I have to kind of cant this one down a little bit. So I'm not going to drill another hole in the case. I'll just take a little metal leg and extend it up to here and screw it in here, and I'll attach it to this, whether solder or bolt it or whatever. But so that's not a problem. But I didn't want to do anything until I was sure that wouldn't work and fry. And right now there's a lot of noises going on down here. I don't know what we'll hear. So what I do want to watch is I did want to watch the voltage on the detectors plate, which is this black wire up here, which conveniently comes right down to there. But there we go. So now you can see the transformer of smoke starts to come out of it. I'll bring it up on the variac, and we'll see what happens from there. The volume, I don't know. Mainly I just want to hear if we get any noise from the speaker, or if that was a futile attempt to try that transformer. So without further ado, I'm going to plug it in here. And we'll bring the variac up. All right, let's see. I can see my dial light has lit up. Let's see what you're looking at here. I don't have it hooked to my phone for the view because I updated the calendar, and every time you do any kind of change to that, you have to reconnect everything, and I just didn't remember to do that. Check and see what kind of voltage we have on the 80 tubes. .5 volts. We're still really low on there. Here, thank goodness the air conditioning kicked off. Just want to make sure that wasn't blazing hot. All right, let's see. So I've got it coming up. Hey, we got output. I have the frequency generator into it again. So yep, so we do have sound coming all the way through the speaker. The one thing that I still don't like, and we'll probably stop here until we diagnose a little bit more, still showing 50 volts, 59 volts, 60 volts at the doohickey. What do you call it? The detector, the modulator stage, and the schematic's showing that you only have 35 volts there. So I don't even have the variac turned up all the way. Let's look and see what we got coming from the transformer there. 81 volts. I think that's for the transformer. $77, and then 60. I'm gonna have to look into this resistor network here again and see. Let me turn that on. I know how hard it can be to see through that. All right, let me shut this off. All right, because we know it's working, so now we're happy with all that. Well, other than to find out why the plate detector voltage is so high. So let me look at that, and as soon as I decide a course of action for that, we'll be back. Let me see that voltage. On 150 scale, it is about 110. Yeah, it's about 110 volts, which is about the same as I'm seeing on a... Oops, sorry. There you go. As you can see, it's about the same as I'm getting on the digital. Just wanted to confirm that a VTVM would see about the same thing. So I'm on 150 volt DC scale. That would be this one. Move the decimal point over 2 places, so 110. Okay, I've seen other people online are saying they're seeing the same thing, so not sure why. As you can see, the thing works. Okay, enough for today. All right, so I'm taking the capacitor off here to clean up and look at what I can do. There's 3 screws underneath after I got this off, and I believe I showed how to take that off in the first video, but basically you just take the front drive wheel off, and it's all laying over here. All this conglomeration of junk comes off. You can leave it all together as one piece so you don't lose it, but one screw, and then you have to loosen up one of those capacitor resistor or capacitors underneath here. I forgot to turn the camera on, but what I'll do is I'm going to take the capacitor off now, and the stator portion of it stays here. This got to come off. This you have to loosen up to get the front drive off anyhow, or the front wheel off anyhow. So actually, I think I'll just leave this off because I don't want to lose it. Looks like if I take these tubes out now, I can get in and maybe loosen up. Well, that wasn't too far. So far, that wasn't too unpleasant to get that out. That screw in there. I don't have my phone set up yet, so I'm not really sure what all I'm looking at here. Every now and then I'll touch the camera to see that we're still somewhat in focus. Yeah. Looks like they have a little brass washer. Little brass washer there on that screw. Hook that up with that guy. Put these over here. Get one of my little cans to put all these little screws in. I already had one spring take off, one of the spring that holds down the front of the rotor. It's shot across somewhere. Hope I can find it. It would, I imagine, look somewhat like this. Pull that out of our way. Now to get the next guy. Actually, get the last guy because that might be holding us back a little bit. It's really slimy in here. You know, I know I cleaned it a little bit when I started with this. I don't know if what it is. It's so slimy. If it's cigarette smoke or oil or just grease and grime from over the years. There's another screw. I know the battery's about to go dead, but after I get this out, then I'll just start to clean it. The battery and the camera, I mean. I'm not going to really do much to the body of it other than just clean it up. I'm not going to sand it and paint it or anything. Alright, and here we have it. It all came off. Not too bad. Like I said, 3 screws from underneath, 1, 2, and 3, like a triangle, and there's that end. Here's the trimmer capacitors. I guess, can you see those? Let me tap it and see what we're looking at. Where are we? Here's the trimmer capacitors for each of them. Yep. And I'll just take a look at these real quick and see. I probably could take each one of these out of here by removing the screws on each end. And then I'll have all 3 stators out, so I can get in there to clean even better. That way it'll give me the chance to make sure the screws are tightened back up. Let's just see how tight they are. We'll take one out. Right, that one was tight enough to be making a good connection. They have the star washer underneath the brass on that one. And then on this side is the condenser side. Take one screw out. That wasn't very tight at all. Probably tight enough for a connection, but there's no star washer or anything. I don't know. There's another. The only problem is I know this is gonna, these have an alignment. Well, we're obligated now, so we're gonna at least check one of them and see. But you see the problem I'm facing here now. That stator moved. So now I gotta, when I put it back together, make sure it's aligned. But it's okay because I wanted to check this, the capacitor. I don't know if they have like a little sheet of mica under them. I think they do. So maybe it's susceptible to silver mica disease. Eee. Yeah, that's pretty grody. So let's see. Alright, I'm going to label each one of these. Say it on film. I'm going to put the ones, I'm going to put the screws back in, the ones that go on the stator side, or yeah, the ones that go on the trimmer capacitor side. So then when I come back here, I'll be able to say, what did I do? And then that will be the rearmost. So I'll put this, we'll call this R, and I'll put R on it in pencil. Of course, I don't know where my pencil went. I don't want to do it in marker or anything. Alright, well for now that's the only one we're taking out. So I will mark that in pencil as I decided to go further on. So let's take a look at what's underneath this capacitor right here. What makes the insulator, well, at least used to work anyhow. Right, crazy looking little nut, pretty neat. And then there's a washer, which is an insulator of some type. Then there's this copper plate. And then there's this, which is disgusting. I don't know if that's a little sheet, what kind of insulator that is. It's anything but look how grimy and greasy it is. Definitely something that needs to be cleaned up. And then the lower body is, of course, metal. So, all right, well, this is all going to be more of the same while I take this apart and clean it. And again, you can see there's a good amount of rust on here, and I'm not going to really even worry too much. I'm just going to get the grease and grime off of it. This plate here looks to be actually riveted on, so I won't be taking that plate off. And the other main reason I took it apart was to address this. That groove that's cut into this shaft from the retaining spring. So I'll clean that up and decide what I'm going to do with that. Looks like these are soldered in here, these plates. I am not dare touch those. I'll definitely say it won't work again, but I'm wondering if I can fill this up with some lead solder, you know, because it'd be a higher temperature and a little more resilient than electrical solder, and make it smooth again. I don't know how well that will work. Stay posted. All right, let's see. Start to put this back together, and I'll have to get, once I put this back in, I'll have to align it. It seems like it'll be pretty easy. I just kind of eyeballed these two, and it was pretty easy. But you have to make sure that each one of these gets aligned with each of these, and then also watch down here where your capacitor is. The little insulator in between the copper plate and the steel was disgusting, with some kind of filth muck on it, gook, I don't know what it was. So I cleaned that all off, and I'm just curious to know if that's like impregnated with anything. I'll have to look it up and see. What was I going to say? What else? I didn't really, I cleaned this up with cleaner and hosed it all off and blew it dry, and then gave it a light coating of WD-40. I didn't really hone in on anything. I'm still looking at this here. This measures approximately 7/16 of an inch. So I'm wondering if I can get some type of tubing that's just over that and slide it over. You know, I may have to hone the inside down so I can slide it over. Maybe put it in the freezer, let it get cold, put this in the oven, heat this up, slide it over. Because it doesn't have to be this exact size, if you understand what I'm saying. The spring just touches on that, but if I could find steel as opposed to whatever that is. Only the back section here rides in here. So let's see if you can see that. Yeah, only the back section rides in here like that. So that's the only section that would matter. And since it slides in like that, I can put something a little bit bigger here. But we'll keep poking away at this, because I find that capacitors are one of these type of variable capacitors. This is one of the things that I don't really spend a lot of time with when I do these radios, and I always kind of wish that I did. So this one I'm trying to give a little bit more devotion to. When I was just playing around with the adjustment, one of these really didn't do a lot. There was a big blob of, looked like fuzz or something underneath one of them. I got that out, obviously. Cleaned everything all up. They look like they'll work good now. Okay. Well, I'll be back. I still have one more. I've cleaned it already. I wiped it down, or I wetted it down with WD-40. I'll let it sit a little bit and then wipe it dry. I'll put that in. Then I'll put this in and probably turn it on so you can see how I do the alignment. It's pretty quick. Just basically you want the plates to be centered here, and I'm eyeballing it center. I guess I could go get a feeler gauge, but I'm sure this has been enough that what I thought was perfect here might not be on the outside, but we'll give it a try. Who knows? Sorry about the babbling. All right, so if you're thinking it looks a little more busy down here, it does, because what I did is I put a different type of strain relief down here. They just had a grommet and the wire was tied in knots on both sides. I replaced the cord and went with a another nylon looking cord, just nylon. Or is it rayon, actually coated wrapped cord. It's regular cord underneath. I put a fuse. I got to bolt it in yet, but I changed the screw. Put a fuse holder here, and then there's a union or a connection up here where I have XY caps coming in. So basically, the power comes in. The common goes right to this, and then across the XY caps bit that goes to the transformer, and then the hot comes in, or the line rather comes in, goes to the switch, out of the switch to the fuse, then to the XY caps, then to the transformer. So that should be the extent of safety modernization that I need to do here. So let me just finish putting this in, and I'll install the fuse, and then we'll get back to the capacitor up top. Alright, so I got this back together. It's just some diddling around you have to do with this to get it all to go back together, but it goes, there's the lock, there's the other lock, and the cap goes from fully meshed to fully unmeshed. So I got the fuse in, the whole bottom's put back together. Let me get the case, and we'll fire it up with the transformer and the speaker and everything in place. And we will see what we get. I didn't realize I had so much junk here on the bench right now. Alright, let's zoom this in a little bit here. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to play around with the alignment a little bit. It's pretty simple. The book says feed in a 1.4 megahertz signal and adjust the dial over here to 140, and you're going to align by changing these variable caps down here, the trimmers. This is going to be the cap for the demodulator stage, detector stage. This would be the cap for the RF amplifier stage, or RF stage, and this would be the cap for the antenna stage. So they want you to go in that order. So what more could be wrong? So let's just see. I'm going to turn my signal on now, and I'm going to be playing around a little bit. You know me. All right. All right, what are we looking at here? All right, for the alignment, put a 200 picofarad cap in between your signal generator and the antenna leads. They say set it at 1400 or 1.4 megahertz, which would be 1400 kilohertz. And then set the dial at 140. And then you want to adjust these in until you get your maximum signal. So let me turn that down a little bit. I've kind of done it a little bit. It's hard because all I have is a metallic quarter-inch drive. when I put it on there, can you hear? I think I got it, but it influences the capacitance. All right. I mean, there's really not a lot to it. The thing I thought that was interesting, let me turn this down, is that you're tuning it for 1400 kilohertz. Well, what about way down at the other end of the band? But really, there's not much down there, but maybe that's why these weren't as popular, or how should I say, they didn't perform as well as the type with a... I'll get this out eventually. I'm listening to that tone. They didn't perform as well as the heterodyne type receivers, because that could kind of put you in an area where, according to the radio, no matter where you went on the dial, all frequencies were the same to the inside of the radio. And we have that noise again. But let's take this off and see what we do for that as well. But yeah, that's the signal generator. It's turned on all the way, and got some noise on that. Funny thing is, when you touch the volume control, you act as the antenna. I guess because the antenna lead actually goes through the volume control, but they have a little insulator up here, and I've noticed when I have no signal, if I touch this, all of a sudden I get static or I get noise. All right, so let's turn the signal off, and let me pull this guy out of here. I keep having a problem. One of these tubes is very weak, and depending on where I put it, I think if it ends up in the detector section, the radio doesn't seem to perform. I can hardly hear it. But I swapped them around, and now it works fine again. Let me get an antenna. Let's get an antenna, shall we? All right. So supplying a ground takes a lot of the noise out.
The guy. Fairies no cat. Speaking of fairies.
Yeah,
70 patients are going into cardiac arrest. This co-starred with Martin Short in the critically acclaimed but short-lived 1979.
America, fly the red 65 flat. Consistency with the coaching staff. Plus, they've got experience in the big games recently.
all right, well, there you have it. Turn that volume down a little bit. So there you have it. Last thing to work on is that shaft, but as you can see, it works fine. My thoughts are to get a pipe, more like a tube that is very tight to fit over that. Maybe I can drill that so it fits really tight over that. It's only slightly larger. This is 7/16 the shaft. So I'll have to see what I can come up with, what type of tubing I can come up, really thin walled tubing that I could somehow stretch or get over that groove. All right, let's see. What else was I going to do to this? Who knows? Oh, I got the knobs, and the problem with the knobs, where are they? Here they are. The problem with the knobs. The factory knob, let me make sure you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at. Yeah, the factory knob, it had a little screw, a set screw. Well, these type that I got as a replacement, they look almost identical, but they use that little metal, I'm not even sure you would call it, but that would slide over the D shaft, and that would hold it and you wouldn't need to screw. The only problem is that diameter is smaller than the D shaft, so these will not even go on. Now if I take that little spring clip out of there, this will go on. Of course it won't stay on. So I'm wondering, even to make them more authentic, if I was to drill and tap, so I'll take that little spring out and then I'll drill and tap and put a set screw in here. Am I crazy? I don't know. They're no good the way they are, and I guess they're remanufactured or something. So, yeah, they definitely won't fit over that shaft. And actually, oh, okay. Yeah, they're both same size. I thought maybe one might work better than the other, but no such luck. Ah! Okay. So, that's it for that. I think everything underneath's done. Probably try and find some other 24 tubes. At least the one that's bad. It's not really bad. It tests really weak though, but it's still working. But I think we can say electrically this one's completed. That'll be to maybe put a new speaker grill cover in the front. All right. So I think we'll finish this episode up and be done until we can find something else. So again, like I said, it's working. I'm happy with that. Everything seems to be doing just fine. And when we get to do the cosmetic end of it, maybe the speaker grill, I'll probably make another video of that. So hey, thanks for watching and staying with me, and well, I'll probably put this back in the case and we'll listen to it in the case just so that we know. And then I'll say thanks for watching. So
clear that back to the event and spent like, and it was just such a nice thing that David Wright put forward.
He has sued, but Jerry West is portrayed as just.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
That's Mina Kimes, ESPN NFL analyst. Her hole in the Chiefs was not super convincing, and neither was her hole in the Eagles. Of all the years, I think this is a chance where we could have.
okay, there it is. Hopefully you can see everything. So now it's back together. These were a lot easier to fix. I just kind of took a knife and made the opening bigger where that retainer goes, and I was able to get them on. So, all done. And that's it. Thanks for watching. For real this time.